kids, welcome to today's lesson. Our topic for today is reading to identify the meaning of words in various contexts. We'll attempt to explain target words using clues provided by the surrounding words in the passage. We'll also list other possible words that could fit into a context in place of target words. Have you ever read a passage that had a few new words in them without ever figuring out what those new words meant? Now, sometimes we can use context clues for the passage to understand these words even without using a dictionary. Before we continue, can anyone tell us what a context clue is? Well, a context clue are hints found within a sentence, paragraph, or passage that a reader can use to understand the meaning of a new or unfamiliar words. There are 6 common types of context clues that can be used when we find ourselves struggling to understand words in a passage. They include root word, antonyms, logic, definition, example, and synonyms. Root words. Sometimes we see a word that looks like a word we're familiar with, but the only difference is that there are a few letters attached to the word that change its meaning. For example, restart, unreliable, predestined. Contrast or antonyms. In this case, words in the sentence suggest the meaning or description of the key words. For example, unlike stationery, desktop, iPads are portable. Another example is, his sire is haughty. He should learn to be more humble. Logic or inference. Here the sentence is constructed in a way for you to figure out what certain words mean by understanding the surrounding words, that is, the context. For example, birds are always on the lookout for predators that might harm their young. By this we know that predators are threats and are dangerous to young birds. Definition. When a sentence is constructed to define a word, it gives us a precise meaning rather than allowing room for the reader to guess. For example, cannibals are organisms that eat the flesh or meat of other animals. Example or illustration. Sometimes a sentence can be constructed in a way that explains a word by citing examples of the word. For example, some birds like to build their nest in inconspicuous spots, high up in the top of trees, well hidden by leaves. Synonyms. This is when similar words are used in a passage to describe something. Now, if you don't understand one word, maybe you'll find a synonym that'll help you to understand it. For example, the animals in the zoo are very diverse. There are various kinds of animals there. You won't find all the context clue strategies in one passage, but it is very likely you'll find at least one. Now that we know a couple of strategies to use to understand new words, let's read a passage and answer a few questions after. Football is played in accordance with a set of rules known as the laws of the game. The game is played using a football. 2 teams of 11 players each compete to get the ball into the other team's goal post, thereby scoring a goal. The team that has scored more goals at the end of the game is the winner. If both teams have scored an equal number of goals, then the game is a draw. There are exceptions to this rule, like if the referee adds extra time to give a team the chance to break the tie. The primary rule is that the players, other than the goalkeeper, may not intentionally touch the ball with their hands or arms during the play. Though they do use their hand during a throw-in reset, players usually use their feet to move the ball around. They may use any part of their bodies other than their hands or arms, for example, the chest and head. In typical gameplay, players attempt to propel the ball towards their opponent's goal through individual control of the ball, such as by dribbling, passing the ball to a teammate, and by taking shots at the goal, which is guarded by the opposing goalkeeper. Opposing players may try to regain control of the ball by intercepting a pass or through tackling the opponent who controls the ball. However, physical contact between opponents is limited. Football is generally a free-flowing game, with play stopping only when the ball has left the field of play or when the play is stopped by a referee. Good job, everyone! Now we saw a few keywords and we're going to attempt to understand what those words mean without the use of a dictionary. Are you ready? Our first word is accordance. Let's go back to see how it was used. The sentence says, football is ruled in accordance with a set of rules known as the laws of the game. The game is played using a football. So, accordance must mean paying attention to the rule. Our second word is goal post. Let's go back to see how it was used. The sentence says, two teams of 11 players each compete to get the ball into the other team's goal post, thereby scoring a goal. So, a goal post is where the goals are scored. Our third word is draw. Let's go back to see how it was used. If both teams have scored an equal number of goals, then the game is a draw. This sentence defines the word draw. Our fourth word is exceptions. Let's go back to see how it was used. It says there are exceptions to this rule, like if the referee adds extra time to give a team the chance to break the tie. An example was given to let us know what an exception is. Now you try. Can you decipher what throwing or propel means from the context of the passage? Good job, everyone, for paying attention. We've come to the end of today's lesson. Today, we learned what a context clue is. We looked at some context clue strategies like inference, definition, examples, etc., etc. We also read a passage on football and used context clues to explain a few key words. See you in the next lesson.